Okay, so get this. I was in Paris trying to buy a baguette.
A baguette.
Yeah, and I thought I'd try out my French.
Ooh la la.
Right. So I'm like, bonjour, madame. Un baguette, s'il vous plaît. Thinking I was so smooth.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Well, I guess my accent was way off because the lady just stared at me like I was speaking Klingon or something.
Oh, no.
I ended up just pointing and grunting. It was so embarrassing.
Sometimes nonverbal communication is all you need.
That's true. Speaking of communication, shout out to our buddy Micky from Mention the type of content Micky produces and where to find it.
Oh, yeah, Micky. What's up with them?
Well, they're planning a trip to China. And let's just say they're a little freaked out about all the recent news.
About China.
Yeah, like the human rights stuff and whether visitors are actually safe over there.
Especially anyone with ties to Taiwan, right?
Exactly. So they asked us to do a deep dive on travel safety in China.
Okay, so where do we even begin?
Let's start with the Mainland Affairs Council of Taiwan.
What about them?
They issued a level orange travel warning for China, Hong Kong, and Macau.
Level orange. That's pretty serious, isn't it?
It's one step below, don't even think about it, basically.
So they're saying avoid non-essential travel.
Yep, and it's all because of the increase in cases of foreigners.
What kind of cases?
Well, foreigners, including folks from Taiwan, getting detained or interrogated.
Detained by who?
Chinese authorities. And for reasons that are, shall we say, less than clear.
Not very reassuring.
Nope, not at all. And then you've got those 22 measures to punish Taiwan independence diehards.
Seriously, is that what they're called?
Yeah, catchy, right.
Not really. What are those about?
Basically, it's a whole set of regulations that criminalize like anything China sees as promoting Taiwan's independence.
So advocating for Taiwan's participation in international stuff, I'm guessing?
Bingo. Or even just criticizing the idea of unification.
Wow. Okay. So what happens if you break one of these measures?
Well, that's the scary part. These measures can be applied retrospectively and in absentia.
Wait, hold on. In absentia?
Yeah, meaning you could get in trouble for something you did or said years ago.
Even if you weren't in China?
Exactly.
That's insane.
I know, right? And to make matters worse, the definition of what constitutes a crime under these regulations is super fuzzy.
So you never really know what's safe to say or do.
And precisely. And this poor Taiwanese publisher, Fucho, or Lianhe is his other name, was actually detained in Shanghai.
Detained? What for?
Inciting secession based on books he published in Taiwan, like years before.
Seriously? Just for publishing books?
It's crazy, right? And it's not just these 22 measures we have to worry about.
What else is there?
There's also China's new anti-espionage law.
Anti-espionage? What does that even mean?
Well, it allows authorities to search your electronic devices.
Search them for what?
Anything they deem suspicious, really. And it can happen at borders or even within the country.
So they can just, go through your phone whenever they want?
Pretty much.
That doesn't sound very fun.
Not at all. There was this scholar who had his phone searched for 4 hours at the border. And then there was this village chief, right? Self-proclaimed security agents just showed up in his hotel room.
No way.
They started questioning him and inspecting his phone right there.
That's nuts. So basically, they're treating everyone like a potential spy.
It kind of feels that way. And to be honest, it's making me a little paranoid just thinking about it.
I can see why. But let's not get too carried away. Most travelers to China, especially those sticking to the tourist areas, don't experience these issues.
I guess that's true. But still, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? China wants to promote tourism, but they're also making it really hard to feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah, it's a strange mix of come visit us and watch your every step.
Right. Speaking of watching your every step, our friend Lucas, the comedian, told me this crazy story.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, his friend was detained.
Detained? Seriously?
Yeah, just for having a photo on Facebook with a Hong Kong scholar.
What was wrong with the scholar?
They were critical of the Chinese government.
And that's enough to get you detained?
Apparently so. And it freaked Lucas out so badly that he spent his whole trip suspecting everyone of being a spy.
Even the nice old lady selling souvenirs?
Pretty much. He was convinced everyone was watching him,
That's rough. So what does this all mean for people actually planning to go to China?
Well, even travel agencies in Taiwan are hesitant about organizing mainland tours these days. They're worried about their client safety and the legal issues they could run into.
So even the professionals are getting nervous.
Exactly. So I think it's safe to say that things are a little complicated right now.
To say the least.
Yeah. So the question is, how do you weigh the risks against the rewards?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And one that we'll have to delve into after a quick break.
I just want to give another shout out to Micky from Mickytolife. His channel is a treasure trove of inspiration, and he's a huge Sip and Talk fan.
Absolutely. Make sure to check him out and maybe even share your awesome podcast intro with him once you've created it. So we're back and still trying to figure out if China is safe to visit.
Yeah, it's a tough one. On the one hand, you've got this amazing country with so much history and culture.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Great Wall, pandas. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that?
Exactly. But then you have this whole other side.
What do you mean?
Like the surveillance, the censorship, the risk of getting detained just for having the wrong photo on your phone.
Yeah, that is kind of scary.
It's like this constant tension between wanting to experience the culture and worrying about accidentally breaking some vague rule.
So how do you decide if it's worth the risk?
Well, that's where personal risk tolerance comes in, right?
Risk tolerance.
Yeah, some people might be okay with self-censoring and staying under the radar. They figure, hey, I'll just avoid talking politics and stick to the tourist spots and I'll be fine.
But even then, you never really know, do you?
Exactly. It's like playing roulette with your freedom.
And that's what makes it so tricky. You could do everything right and still end up in trouble.
Like Lucas's friend, remember?
Oh, yeah, the one who got detained over a Facebook photo. That's crazy.
It shows that you're basically at the mercy of a system that isn't transparent or predictable at all.
And it's not just individuals who are worried.
It's going to create even more barriers to understanding and communication between cultures.
That would be a shame. Travel is such a powerful way to connect with different people and broaden your horizons.
So, are we basically saying that it's too risky to travel to China?
I don't think we can say that for everyone. It really depends on your individual circumstances and how much risk you're comfortable with.
But we can definitely say that people need to be aware of the potential risks.
Oh, absolutely. Do your research, check travel advisories, talk to people who've been there recently.
And if you do decide to go, take precautions to protect yourself.
Like what kind of precautions?
For starters, be super careful about what you share online, both before and during your trip.
Oh, right, because of those vague laws and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You never know what might be considered sensitive or subversive.
So no posting selfies with the Dalai Lama.
Probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
And maybe think twice before making any sarcastic comments about the government.
Good point. So basically keep it squeaky clean online.
Yep, pretty much. And while we're on the topic of online safety, don't forget about your devices.
Oh, right, the anti-espionage law.
Yep, that one. So make sure you have strong passwords, encrypt your data, and maybe even consider using a VPN.
A VPN?
Yeah, it helps to encrypt your internet traffic and make it harder for them to track your online activity.
Okay, got it. Anything else?
Well, this might sound extreme, but some people even recommend traveling with a burner phone or laptop.
A burner phone? Like in the movie?
Yeah. That way, if your device gets confiscated, you won't lose all your personal data.
That's a pretty drastic measure.
It is, but it might be worth considering if you're really worried about your privacy.
I guess it's better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly. And if you do use a burner device, make sure you wipe it clean and get rid of it properly after your trip.
No leaving any traces behind.
Right. So those are just some basic precautions. The specific steps you take will obviously depend on your own situation and risk tolerance.
Okay, so be informed, assess your risk, and take appropriate measures.
Exactly. And remember, the situation is constantly changing, so stay up to date on the latest developments.
So basically there's no easy answer.
Nope, it's a complicated issue with no clear-cut solution.
But hopefully this conversation has given Micky and other listeners some things to think about.
Yeah, and help them make a more informed decision about traveling to China. Okay, so we've covered the digital side of things, but what about just staying safe on the streets in China?
Well, a lot of it's common sense, right? Like, be aware of your surroundings, especially in crowded areas.
Right, watch out for pickpockets, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And don't flash your cash around. Be careful who you trust.
Basic street smarts, no matter where you are in the world.
Exactly. Oh, and always a good idea to share your itinerary with someone back home.
Yeah, and check in with them regularly.
Right, so someone knows where you are just in case.
Good point. But there's another layer to this whole safety thing we haven't really talked about.
What's that?
Like the psychological impact of traveling in a place where you constantly feel like you're being watched.
Oh, yeah. I can see how that would be stressful. Never being able to fully relax.
It's like you're always looking over your shoulder, waiting for something bad to happen.
So how do you deal with that?
Any advice?
Well, self-care is super important. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy, staying hydrated.
Yeah, Those things can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And maybe take some breaks from social media, all the news and stuff can really feed into that anxiety.
Unplug for a bit.
Exactly. Just focus on enjoying the moment. And if you start feeling really overwhelmed, don't be afraid to reach out for support. Talk to a friend, a family member, or even consider, professional help.
Good advice.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask for help.
But for sure, mental health is just as important as physical safety.
So bottom line, what's the takeaway for Micky and anyone else thinking about a trip to China?
It's tricky. China's an incredible place, so much to see and do, but there are definitely challenges and risks to consider.
Like a grand adventure with a big warning label attached?
Yeah, pretty much. So it comes down to each individual weighing those risks against their own values.
No easy answers.
Nope. If you decide to go, be aware, be prepared, and take every precaution you can.
And if you decide it's not worth the risk.
Okay, that's totally fine too.
The world's full of amazing places to explore. No need to put yourself in a situation that makes you uncomfortable.
Couldn't agree more. Choose adventures that bring you joy. That's what matters.
Well said. Big thanks to Micky for inspiring this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks, Micky.
Hopefully this has given everyone some food for thought.
And if you want more amazing travel tips and insights,
be sure to check out Micky's channel on mention where to find it.
It's awesome.
All right, until next time, everyone. Happy travels.